All right, welcome to the Wolverine Recruiting Show. I'm Clayton Sayfie with EJ Holland. Head to thewolverine.com for all of our content. Use the promo code Blue60 for 2 months for free. You can interact with thousands of fans and our staff on the Fort, our premium message board. Get all the premium content. That's promo code Blue60. EJ, an interesting week for Michigan. You're coming off of a Jim Harbaugh contract extension, which gives a little bit of certainty and stability back to the program. But we'll talk about some of those top targets in 2022 who are now, looking to commit soon. January 23rd is the date for Demoni Jackson, the five-star corner, the number two player in the country out of California. Your thoughts on this, in this timeline as when it comes to Michigan being in contention for him?
Yeah, I don't think it's advantageous for Michigan for Domani to commit this early, especially with the changes on the defensive side of the ball. So with each passing day, it doesn't look likely that Michael Zordich will be back for Michigan. That's been his primary point of contact, the guy he's developed a relationship with. And Domani and Will, who we'll get to here in a second, both aren't necessarily like rah recruiting guys. Like, Michael Zordich has been criticized about his ability to recruit. Demoni and Will don't really care about that. They care about development and they like Zordich's track record. Zordich is a Youngstown, Ohio guy. So is Demoni's dad, who grew up a Michigan fan. So Demoni's been familiar with Zordich since he coached back in the Youngstown area years ago. So I think losing Zordich hurts with Demoni. I also think that, even though Don Brown wasn't super involved in that recruitment, not having a defensive coordinator really hurts. Obviously, Michigan is bringing in Mike Mcdonald, but uh, kids are just going to not know a lot about Mike Mcdonald. I mean, he's a linebackers coach in the NFL. He hasn't coached at the college level other than being a GA. There's no real ties there at all. So with him still coaching in the playoffs for the Baltimore Ravens, there's no time for Demoni to really develop a relationship with him or whoever they bring in to potentially replace Zordich. So I think that hurts Michigan. I think even though his dad grew up a fan and Demoni grew up a fan as well, and they made their way to Ann Arbor for that big visit weekend, I think Michigan is more likely to end up short here as far as Demoni's upcoming decision. But signing day is still a long way away. A lot could change between now and then. So I feel like this might not be the last time we're talking about Demoni Jackson if it doesn't go Michigan's way. Ohio State is heavily involved. USC seems to be the safe pick. It's close to home. A lot of Demoni's friends are going there. They have some great recruiters as far as guys that recruit in the secondary. Um, Dante Williams is the associate head coach, so there's stability there now. He just got a promotion, and he's one of the best, if not the best, recruiter out on the West Coast, and he's been leading the way for Demoni. Craig Niver, who I covered at Texas, is the safeties coach there, and he's a great recruiter as well. So I think that right now USC is probably the safer bet. But I feel like this might not be the last time we're talking about Demoni Jackson.
Yeah, and a kid that you kind of referred to a little bit ago is Will Johnson, who may or may not team up with Domani. He's a five-star out of Grosse Pointe, right in Michigan's backyard. His dad Dion played for Michigan. He is set to go out to Domani's neck of the woods to USC this weekend. I think I read they are going to be there together. Is that right? And I guess what are your thoughts on him taking that USC visit this weekend?
Yeah, I mean, USC is always a school that Will's wanted to see. He made that visit to Michigan. He also made a visit to Ohio State. So this is just another visit for Will. And then Demani's already been on a self-guided tour to USC a couple of months ago, I believe. So he's going back mainly to hang out with Will. With Will, I just have a hard time envisioning him leaving home. He really seems like a Midwest guy. I'm not saying it's definitely going to be Michigan, but I feel like USC is behind Michigan and Ohio State right now. Who knows? The visit could change that. Will doesn't seem like a West Coast kid, but he really does want to play with Demoni. Like I said, USC has great recruiters when it comes to defensive back recruiting, so that could sway him as well. But overall, with Will, I think he's going to at least give the Michigan staff a chance to build relationships with him. So Mike Mcdonald and potentially whoever replaces Zordich. But I did ask Domani, I was like, do you think y'all are going to commit on the same day? And he just kind of laughed about it and didn't deny it. So you mean you never know. But Will does want to make a decision early. I wouldn't be surprised if he commits shortly after Domani does.
That would be crazy if he pulls a surprise and basically commits at the same time. Wouldn't be good news, like you said. The timeline just doesn't seem to necessarily add up when you had the uncertainty, and you just had all that resolved, and it's still really not resolved. You mentioned the Zordich situation, and Michigan's still trying to get their staff together. So obviously, if you're Michigan, you kind of hope they both don't commit on January 23rd, unless they were just like, hey, we're ready, like we want to go to Michigan, whatever, because they've both been highly interested. So. That'll certainly be interesting to see. Let's talk about another California kid, Xavier Worthy, the Rivals 100 Michigan wide receiver signee out of Fresno, who was set to enroll early. Looks like there may be, some paperwork issues, I guess, with his early enrollment. What is the latest on that kind of murky situation for Michigan right now?
Yeah, it's obviously a sensitive situation, so you don't want to go into too many details, but I mean, you have to report on it. Like, apparently there's been others saying we won't report on it. Like, you have to report on it. Obviously, I was the first one to really mention it. There, are some issues with his paperwork right now. It doesn't look likely that he will enroll early this weekend, but Michigan is doing its best. Honestly, we won't know until guys start getting to campus on Saturday. And who knows? Maybe he does make his way to campus as they continue to sort this out. Maybe it starts trending more in a positive direction. But as of right now, there's still a hurdle for him to get to Michigan. The good news is that it's not like an academic issue. Like when people see academic paperwork, they think like this kid might have terrible scores or terrible GPA. I mean, he was I actually believe he was the first signee to graduate from high school. Like he's been done since late October, November. He had a 3.5 GPA, so it's not anything when it comes to if he can get into Michigan from a pure academic, standing standpoint. Xavier's a smart kid. It has nothing to do with that. So it is simply a paperwork hurdle. So I want to make that abundantly clear. Also, there's rumors that Xavier just wants to get out of his LOI and all that. But again, there would be no talk of this if there weren't a paperwork hurdle. The Sharks are circling. I think Texas is interested. I think other schools would have a lot of interest in Xavier as well, and so it's something to really monitor. We'll see kind of what transpires this weekend, but it's not looking great from an early enrollee perspective. And let's say Xavier doesn't early enroll. He worked so hard to be an early enrollee. He's been done with high school for months. And so now he's going to have to sit at home for another 4 or 5 months. I think that might create a little bit of tension with Michigan and could potentially open the door, but that's really speculating. I think a lot of the Xavier Worthy saga has been speculation. As it stands right now, the only facts we know is that there's an issue with Xavier enrolling early and that Michigan's trying to get it sorted out. So, all these other things that are floating around, all that's kind of just hearsay until, things get sorted this weekend.
Yeah, and just to recap, so those guys are set to move in on Saturday. Donovan Edwards has a playoff game on Saturday. If he wins, he's going to continue to play for his team. He'd be playing in the state title at Ford Field, I think the next Friday or Saturday. So he would be the only one set to early enroll that wouldn't actually be there outside of Xavier Worthy. And then I don't think we hit on this on last week's show. I think it came out just after we recorded or something like that. But Tommy Doman, right in Michigan's backyard, the kicker punter signee, is not going to enroll early anymore for numbers' sake, I guess, with the early enrollees. That's correct?
Yeah, they're kind of tight with numbers, and Tommy was completely fine with staying home, and so he will not be enrolling early, but he's definitely still a key part of the class. He's going to stay with Michigan. No real drama there. So anybody that's shunning me for reporting on Xavier Worthy can also shun me for breaking the Tommy Doman news, I suppose.
There you go. There you go. So, yeah, that is all the latest with Michigan football recruiting. You can follow it hour by hour at thewolverine.com. Use the promo code BLUE60 for instant access for 60 days for free of our premium message board, all of our premium articles. That's at thewolverine.com, promo code BLUE60. We'll see everybody next time.